Hi, this is Paige, and I am going to be reviewing the QuickBooks assignment instructions and the QuickBooks exporting hints. So I suggest you print both of these out and follow along as I go through it. It will be invaluable and could save you a ton of stress. In addition to your text and the discs that come with it, there's some great resources in the Textbook Online Learning Center. And I want to show you what you've got there. You come to the, you can click on that link that I just had, Student Edition. This is done by chapter. So, for instance, let's go to chapter 2. There's a multiple choice quiz. This would be a great place to go when you're studying for the final, for the QuickBooks final, because the final is all multiple choice. So when I studied for the final, I would go through every single chapter and do the multiple choice quiz from each of these. You also have the student data learning files for each chapter. You've got these on the disc that came with your book, but you also have them here, same thing. You can download them directly from here if you need to. And I suggest starting with the data file for each chapter. There are a couple of chapters that might say, okay, using the chapter, the previous chapter's data, continue on with this one. But if you've got mistakes in your earlier chapter, then you carry those over into the next chapter. So just use the data disk, the data for each chapter. For chapter 1, you have the student data file, and then when you go to do the project for chapter 1, you have a different data file. I'm just making a note of that because it's the only chapter that's set up with two different files. What I suggest you do is download all of the student data files onto the computer that you're going to be working on. You can just do that from your disk, or you can come online here and go to each one of these chapters and download the data. To download the Excel templates for your QuickBooks assignments, go to myquickbooks.me. This website has got, make sure you're clicked on the QuickBooks 2013. The rest of these are grayed out. Those are older years. On this QuickBooks site, you have the reports for each chapter. You will not be downloading the docs. You're going to be downloading the reports. And this is an Excel spreadsheet that you will use to turn in your assignments. This is what it's going to look like. You've got a spreadsheet that has tabs at the bottom for each thing that you're going to be turning in. So the first tab is instructions, and I'll come back to this in a minute. These are instructions for exporting. The second sheet is a list of what you're going to be turning in. So you will turn in the chart of accounts for this. This is chapter 2, and here's a tab for the chart of accounts. On this tab, they're all basically blank. So when you're in QuickBooks, you'll follow the instructions for exporting, and you'll export them to these particular worksheets. The second thing is the exercise 2.1. So right here, and it's the statement of cash flows. So you'll come here, exercise 2.1, statement of cash flows. You'll export it there. Do not change the names of these tabs. It messes up when I grade. So throughout the chapter, you will be doing some exporting, and then at the end of the chapter, you have exercises, and you'll be exporting these reports. And then at the after that, you'll have a project for each chapter, and you will turn in these reports. These chapter and exercises will be graded on completeness, and the projects and cases, there's 3 cases, will be graded on correctness. You will then upload this spreadsheet to Canvas and submit it in Canvas as an assignment. When you upload it to Canvas, you will be able to see the grading rubric that I will use. So for Chapter 2, These are all of the things that are required and how many points each one is assigned. And so I will grade your paper based on all of this, or your submission based on this criteria. So there should be no surprise to you as to what I'm looking for when you're submitting your assignments. And if you have any questions about submitting your assignments, in Appendix D, page D3, it gives some more information. Now, as I was saying, you are not going to be exporting the docs spreadsheets, just the one for reports from here. So each time you do a chapter, you have to come to this myquickbooks.me, download the Excel template for the appropriate chapter, and export your QuickBooks work into the Excel template, and then you'll submit the Excel template to me in Canvas. Here's some important exporting hints. When exporting, don't have the heading print on the Excel worksheet. Otherwise, my computerized grading assistant will mark it wrong. So follow the diagram on page 1.30 to get the correct export setting. Also, replace worksheet versus update worksheet. Sometimes this comes up. If you get the following error message, QuickBooks doesn't support updates for this type of report, it's because you've left the export process go to the default setting of update instead of selecting replace worksheet. Side note, this might not mean a whole lot to you now until you start going through and find you have certain troubles. So before you email me or submit a question through Canvas, come back and look at this exporting thing sheet and see if it answers your question. One thing I found is if you're having trouble exporting whatever it is, install the latest update for QuickBooks, and you can do that at the top of the QuickBooks. It says, go for updates. Then close the QuickBooks software and open it, and that'll take care of most issues. A mistake that I see continually coming through that gets marked down is students do not follow instruction 11 on the Reports tab. So when you're going to Excel, the spreadsheet, on the far left hand is instructions for reports. Step 11 instructs you to uncheck the space between columns. So you've got a little check mark right there. If you don't do that, what happens is none of the amounts come through on your report. So I don't get any dollar amounts. And what that ends up doing is you lose a lot of points because I can't even see what you've submitted. So make sure you do that. And also, make sure that the Include QuickBooks Export Guide worksheet with helpful advice box is unchecked. And that's this box right there on step 11. And you have to do this every time you export. And I suggest every time you export to a tab in Excel, you save it. Save it, save it. Continually save it, because I have a lot of students losing data and they have to redo it, and it's a really problematic. Make a note right now in Chapter 5, Project, on page 5.55. There's some missing information in the book for number 3. The first item is listed as vinyl irrigation line. And you're doing some inventory stuff here. And since there's 3 different sizes of vinyl irrigation line, it doesn't tell you what size to use, so I'm telling you now, choose the 1/2-inch vinyl irrigation line. So open up your book right now, your QuickBooks, go to page 5.55 and make a note of this, because you're not going to remember it when you come to Chapter 5. Chapter 11, same thing. If you're having trouble exporting the 941 tax summary because you get the error, could not connect to QuickBooks, install the latest QuickBooks update, then close and open the QuickBooks software to install that update. Just a reminder, QuickBooks does not work on the Mac. I mean, there is a QuickBooks for the Mac, but the disc that you get with your textbook is for the PC. So you're going to have to do it either on a PC, or there's computers in the accounting lab that have QuickBooks loaded onto it, or you can use All Access. It's pretty slow using All Access, but you can still do it. If you have any questions about this, let me know, but I would say get started right away.